Again. Today we're here with Shannon Priem and Alan Schiffer to talk a little bit about what's been going on with Shannon over the last 50 years. Can we believe it that it's been actually a little over 50 years? We were hoping to have a 50th reunion last year, and we, along with many people in 2020, didn't get to host events that we had hoped to host, but we are optimistic that 2021 will be the year for us. And Alan's going to say a little bit about what that should look like. And I'm going to turn it over to you now, Alan.
Well, just briefly, if anybody's seen any of the other conversations or website updates, real briefly, just encourage people to go to www.southsalem70.com. And you'll get the kind of latest information there. If you can just register there, then everybody will get the updates. But the latest great news is that we're all set for September 18th, which is a Saturday, and Sunday the 19th. And we have a couple of great events planned. So I just encourage you to go to that. And it's great to also have classmates who have really stepped up in terms of helping with the hosting of those events and the like. So, and then Luann, don't we have some other?
We have a Facebook page called South Salem Class of 1970 Reunion that actually started on our 40th reunion. So it's been there for about 10 years, and people can find some news items there. And that's where we post these little interviews or conversations, as we call them. And today we're going to talk with Shannon about what she's been doing. So Shannon, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you did directly after you left South?
Well, I'm happy to, but I have to first introduce the special guest behind me.
If you would, please.
He does look familiar.
Does anybody recognize this old gentleman? Welcome, class of 19. Oh, you know what? My brother borrowed this for his reunion, so it says class of 66. So we're going to pick that. This is a very, very popular little thing. So, but anyway, he will be joining us in September. Hi, Pappy. We're just going to.
Pappy Aschenbrenner. He has made the rounds, and he had
back to me
a long history.
So right after graduation, I went to the University of Oregon School of Journalism. I didn't take a break, so I graduated 4 years later with a degree in news and journalism right as Watergate hit.
Oh, so, wow.
Our field became very popular. Then I went right to work for the State and Mail newspaper. So I got my first reporter and editor job there in a small town weekly newspaper. That was fun because I was introduced as the gal reporter. I would have been astonished today, you know, that was insulting. Right. But back then, I was 22. That was kind of cool. Yeah. And then I became editor pretty quickly. And I remember one day we were putting the paper to bed. So I had my braids up, still had my long hair, long braids, overalls, and this big old farmer comes in, and he has been very upset with our newspaper, and he demands to talk to the editor. So I said, well, you're looking at her. And he says, oh, well, okay, can I talk to the publisher? So,
somebody who's important. Huh?
Right. So I dealt with a lot of that back then. All of us did, but it was
far too common. Lots of obviously.
Yeah. But then a few years later, then I just entered the public relations field. So since then I've had public relations writing and editing jobs with the Department of Transportation, Safe Corporation. I worked briefly for the Oregon Health Sciences University, editing some medical journals where I developed a real love and appreciation for medical research and patient care. And then I got into school public relations and worked for the Salem Kaiser School District as their public relations director in the late 80s. And then I came back, let's see, and then I ended up at the Oregon School Boards Association, starting in about 2000. So I did public relations and training, media training for our publicly elected school board leaders and superintendents on how to deal with the media, how to communicate with their audiences, how to do publications. I did that for about 9 years. Then thought I was going to retire. So I left and then wasn't quite ready yet. So I took a job with Salem Hospital.
Hospital,
Here.
yeah.
Yeah, I came back. I was in Portland for a while. I came back because my mom is still alive. She's 94. Came back to kind of take care of her. So I've been working. I worked for Salem Hospital for the last 10 years, which I call that my encore career, but I was going to quit sooner, but I loved it. And then I talked them into just letting me go half time. So I'm a half time person, and I'm still working for Salem Health. So that kind of brings me up career wise to right now, because I just left my office. I thought, oh, I'm still working.
There you go. Well, me too. So, but you mind my asking a couple of questions? I mean, that's fascinating. I mean, as you kind of went through those same things, and you obviously went to Oregon has a great journalism program.
Yes, the U of O.
Yeah,
I was a graduate of the School of Journalism.
yeah, and then also you went through lots of different both times, but also different industries. I mean, any certain things kind of stand out either as events or issues that you covered that you found particularly personally engaging or important to you?
Well, yeah, there's a common threads in communications that you discover, whether you're working with school leaders or physicians, and that everybody has a concept of what good communication and public relations is. And there's this joke that you can get two superintendents in one room, because their egos are, pardon me.
That's right.
And then the same applies for some physicians too.
Yeah.
But I have gained an incredible respect for both of those careers, because they are just the linchpin of the future of our country by raising children and taking care of bodies. So it's been a real honor for me to try to help them reach their audiences. And that's been very challenging because, like I said, everybody has their own idea about what works. But regardless of where you are and who you're talking to, the advice that I've always given, either as a teacher or a consultant, is you've got to do face to face. It all, despite the digital age, despite how we run away from paper and we are just bombarded with messages everywhere, the most effective way to reach people and to influence them is personal relationships. And that's never changed. I've been flabbergasted that that's got to change over the last 40 years, but it hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It always comes through that if you want to build support and understanding for your cause, whether it's a school bond levy or a new clinic, that's the way you do it. The tools have all changed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the old lady in my office, and they just laugh at me because I'm in Zoom going, is my camera on? And they just roll their eyes. They're millennials. But I have to say that I just love them dearly because they come to my rescue as I come to theirs sometimes when we're in a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've noticed this, but the older you get, the quicker you can come to what's the right conclusion. Like, I can see through all this. This is what we have to do. I have been here. Don't go arguing with all these people. Argue with these people.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring that little bit of wisdom, I hope, to some of our discussions.
That's very cool.
But yeah, it can be frustrating, but it's rewarding. When you help a school district that is struggling to build a new high school or to pass a levy, and then they've passed a bond because they've followed your advice with research and implementation and all that, then that you've had an impact. So, I have never had any of my own children, but I like to think that I have been a societal parent to thousands of them.
Yeah.
That gets me off the hook with my mom of not having any babies.
But you've made a difference in the lives of many, many children. So.
Well, I hope so. I hope I have a little bit of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And as I understand it, you started a charity program of some kind. Is that right?
Oh, yes. One of the things that I've sort of evolved doing, I have a love of animals, although it started in life as just one cat. Back in the day, we always, our family pets were like a cat or a dog that you kicked outside every night. But I developed a real love for animals because I ended up serving on the board, which I still do, of the Willamette Humane Society. So I helped them with their, leadership stuff, and gained an amazing respect for how we treat our pets.
Mhm.
And then when I went to the hospital, I was put on this committee where we decided that because of sterilization standards, which I understood, we could not have any pets at all in the hospital. And apparently Salem Hospital had gone a little bit overboard with allowing pets in, because they would have there was a story about, oh, Shannon, we used to have a duck in diapers running around the unit, and we just couldn't have that. I said, you had a duck in diapers, an emotional support duck,
Oh my God.
So I, no, oh, that's amazing. But
And terrifying.
yeah, it was so they realized we need to kind of scale back. And so they scaled back to have no pets at all, except if you have your service animal, which is federally allowed. And then I realized, my gosh, there's going to be people out there that are panicking because they won't go to the hospital because they have no one left behind to take care of their pet. So I had the bright idea of starting a rescue program just for our hospital patients. And being in communications, I cleverly named it FETCH, which stands for Fido's Emergency Team for Caring Hospitals.
Oh, nice.
Very
And, yeah, so I am my own volunteer because the hospital can't assume liability for what I do because it's outside the walls of the hospital, which I totally get and support for their liability. So I am the Secret Service of our care managers who will have somebody show up in the ED and they're frantic because they need some kind of life-saving procedure or admission, but they won't because I can't leave my dog in my car, or I can't leave my 5 cats at home without anybody because I'm a widow and there's nobody there to take care of them.
Mhm.
And so they go, oh, hey, I know somebody who will help you. And then they have this wave of relief, and then they get, okay, I'll come to the hospital. I'll stay as long as I need because somebody's there helping me. And that's usually me or my little cadre of friends who love animals who will go in and feed kitty cats or foster dogs. So, and that kind of grew. So I started it about 5 years ago, and I think I've helped about 300 animals so far in the hospital.
And
So-
you actually take the animals out of the home that they live in and house them someplace else?
Yes, I have a beautiful partnership with Willamette Humane Society, probably thanks to my connection there. And then I have a grant from the hospital foundation itself that helps pay for short-term boarding of these animals. And a lot of times they can't afford to get the shots that they need. So we do that as well. And then I have people that just take animals into their home. Like we have one little dog that's probably been with us 30 times because his mom goes into the hospital a lot. So we just, she texts me and I go get her dog.
Oh,
wow. So we do a combination of boarding and then just fosters with people who love animals.
Just do cats and dogs, or are there other animals?
We've done chickens. I've fed chickens. I haven't done any of the other exotic animals. We had a bird that somebody asked us about, but I didn't find anybody soon enough. But I have her now. I've got somebody who will take care of a bird now. But I just, yeah, but I did have an amazing challenge once with a whole U-Haul truckload full of animals that were brought in by a frantic patient who ended up in the emergency room about 10 o'clock one night. And I got my call from the security department saying, Shannon, could you come down here? And we've got a situation and we're not sure what to do. So I get down there and I realized that a woman had shown up with the U-Haul because she had nowhere to go. She was having some kind of an incident. And she had 6 cats in cages and a dog and a rooster in her U-Haul.
Oh my gosh. And you were able to accommodate all
Well,
of
it's funny because I brought a parade of people by to look at the rooster, and they all said, "Oh, I can't take it home. You know, my wife won't let me." Or
no
so
rooster?
I just sprinkled water through the cage and some some cereal, and let it sit overnight. And I took all the cats home to my basement, and it took us an hour to coax the dog out of the front seat of the truck because she was protecting the cab of the truck.
Oh, wow.
So but we got her out, and she was so grateful. And the patient was incredibly amazed that we did that. And
Yeah.
the rooster stayed in the back of her truck. So I'm not sure what happened, but she took off with the rooster the next day. And then I kept her cats for a while till she could get stable.
Wow.
That was fun. Yeah. That was
Oh my
one
Well,
of-
those
that
are
was one-
amazing. What a great service. That's a great service for the animals, but also then that way the people can hopefully be more at peace and probably
Yeah, that's the idea, because the more you read about pets and people, the more you realize that they're part of so many people's families.
deeply.
And there's a huge impact on physical and mental health that a pet gives. I mean, where else are you going to get unconditional love
Right, right.
than from your dog or, well, your cat? My cat has conditions, but so it is to see the wave of relief in their eyes when you come to their bedside and say, look, don't you worry, you need this heart procedure or you need this, and we'll take care of your cat. And it's undescribable. And when one time I did this with this beautiful cat and this one patient, and I said, oh, I'm gonna take care of your kitty cat. And she said, thank you, I'll talk to you later. And so I go and I grab this beautiful cat, and I actually have it in my house, and I've got it for 2 weeks. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting a little irritated because she hasn't surfaced. And I need, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden the landlord calls me and says, where is so-and-so? And I said, well, I thought she was in some kind of a home facility getting better, and we couldn't find her. And then the next day we discovered that she had passed away.
Oh my.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. And I thought, and then I realized I knew what she was doing when she looked at me and just said, thank
Mhm.
you. And as
Mhm.
if she could go, because she knew her cat was, and I found this amazing home for her cat.
Mhm.
And the home that cat has now is better than mine. So,
Well, I doubt that.
but yeah.
Well, it's a great heart, Shannon. I mean, those are wonderful stories just because, again, oh gosh, we've all got our own little things we'd like to do for ourselves, but gosh, you're looking outside yourself, both in the work you've done as well as creating this very nice.
Yeah. And I welcome anybody who wants to foster. Just let me know. I can set you up. But, since I didn't have any of my own kids, then I have the capacity to give back in different ways like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
thanks
it's
for
kind of
doing
a
that.
nice thing for people who really can't have a pet permanently, but enjoy animals,
yes.
to have a pet for a short period of time, or, that way
Mhm.
you can still travel or whatever, but you can say, I can take care of this pet for a month or whatever.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's
And
kind of
sometimes we help them, they realize they can't take care of their pet anymore.
Mhm.
And so we help them rehome the pet, and that gives them peace of mind too.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's great.
Well, now, are you planning to go to the reunion?
Yes. Yes. I will be there, and I am excited to see some of the people that I've been listening to. Like, I had no idea Andy was a big llama person. Maybe that came out later. Like, oh, I'm going to pick
Fun
his
to
brain.
know. Yeah.
And the World Llama Federation. And then I don't remember Ramsey Embick at all. I looked him up in our yearbook and I couldn't find him. But I thought, man, if I'd known him in high school, I would have stalked him down the hallway. I mean, he would have been so cool, as a musician. But back in the day, I was really shy. I think some people might have thought I was kind of stuck up, but I was just painfully shy.
Mhm.
And a lot of us were. And I think, gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if we could all go back to that era of being in a high school, in the bodies and the brains that we have now, and what kind of partnerships and friendships we would forge now if you know, if we no longer had the cliques and the fears and the insecurities that we had when we were 18. And we were awesome then, but it would have been so interesting
Right.
to be together. And maybe, you know, that's what I look forward to in our reunions is to meet each other again. Like, oh, I remember you.
Mhm.
Didn't you, you know,
It is-
you were that little poorly guy that was always in
Be
science
careful.
class, and now you're really successful.
And I think that's one of the fun things about these conversations is you get a little insight into what people have been doing and people that you may not have known very well. You get
Yeah.
a chance to see what they've been doing and you say, oh, you know, I was in biology class with Ramsey. That's how we knew each other. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of fun to see what he's been doing and, you know, reconnect. And I think it's just a great way to reconnect with people. And then when you see them at the reunion, you can say, oh, it was really fun to hear what you've been doing and talk a little bit more.
Yeah, I connected with John Ross because, you know, he just retired, I think, last year as our lead anesthesiologist at Salem Hospital. But I connected with him a few years ago because I was just coming out of anesthesia from a surgery there. And there he was sitting in front of me with his little, you know, surgical cap on. He goes, hey, Shannon, remember me from high school, John Ross?
Oh yeah, how
and then I go, and of course, when you're coming out of anesthesia, you could say anything. So here I am going, oh, I bet you lost your hair. I didn't see that. And he pulls his cap off, and sure enough, he's kind of, you know, and I go, I'm so sorry. He said, oh, don't worry about it. People say the darndest things when they're coming out of anesthesia. So I thought that was, oh my gosh, but his face was the same.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
Very
happy,
much so.
big, smiley face. So
Yeah.
Still a good personality too. He's always
yes,
He's
yes.
a
fun
great guy.
He's a great
Just
guy.
great. Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much for visiting with us today and looking forward to seeing you in September.
Yes, me too. And I'll bring Pappy.
If you will.
Yeah, yep, he's still here. He has not
Okay.
changed a bit.
No,
All right.
he hasn't.
Make sure he gets registered at southsalem70.com. Okay.
I will, and I'll look up his email to make sure.
Okay. Please do.
Okay.
That's good. Okay.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya.